Okay, guys, we haven't done a live for a while. This is unplanned, but I thought I'd just jump on. And people can ask me training questions. I'm going to warm up, just do a little bit of everything today. Trained handstand push-ups yesterday, but apart from that, I don't have any plans. Do a little bit of balance work, a little bit of press, a little bit of handstand push-up. Hey, how are we? First one on. Okay, let's warm up. Let me know if you can hear me okay as well. I'm not sure if this microphone's working correctly. So let's warm up, see how the body feels today, do a little bit of balance. I've just done a few video critiques for clients, but apart from that, I haven't done much or if any warm up. So let's see how we can balance today. See how the body feels. Any questions to kick us off? Hey, that's fantastic. Yeah, any training questions? Anything you're stuck with? Right, let's see what we can do cold. So, like I said, I'm not warmed up. See if I've got one arm with no warm up. Just about a couple of seconds. Gonna press. Yeah, press is not always there. I can bend the arms a little bit, bend the legs a bit more if I need to. Normally get cold. Handstand push up as well. Might not look the cleanest, but I can normally show control all the way down, touch, come back up again. So maintenance work for me for the press, standard handstand push up. One arm I need to get back a bit better. Let's have a look. I think I'm not doing the flag one arm handstand correctly. Like, do we have to move sideways or twist the legs a little? With the one arm, the only thing that matters is the center of the hip, so the sacrum on top of the shoulder, on top of the hand. You can do a lateral shift, so you can just move sideways. You can go a lot of flag, and you can do a combination of both, but you don't need to have extremes of either. Like, my flag is basically non-existent. I can go into this position and move across. So as long as my center of my hip is on top of my shoulder, it's on top of the hand, but I can balance the one arm there. So that's like zero flag. So if we're doing a flag, it just makes it much easier to balance the position. But there's normally, unless you're naturally great at flagging, when you try and do it, there'll be some rotation and there'll be some lateral shifting as well. And it will depend on where your flexibility and range is. But like I just demoed, you don't need to have it. It's a bit trickier to balance. So you don't want to force your body to do it. If you force your body to do it, then it'll be really challenging to hold. Because it'll pop you out the side or something. When doing the handstand, do you flex your feet? It's much easier to point the toes, especially when you're learning, because you want to have the body acting as one piece. So reaching a little bit taller is normally easier, having connection. So if I reach the leg away, it's easier to hold. If I flex the foot, see how the knee and the hip flexes as well. But if I point, it's like it lengthens and it makes everything one piece. That can make it easier to do a handstand. However, you don't want to force your body into it. A bit like we was just talking about the one-arm handstand. With a two-arm handstand, I'm just reaching tall. So I'm not pushing and reaching like this and pointing the toes, but I'm there. I'm not flexing. So because flexing creates like that position and it makes me bend the knees and the hips. So I'm reaching tall like that. But still being able to hold a conversation. It's like, do you activate the core in a handstand? Not really. You just do it the same as you would do if you're standing up tall. You don't really pull your glutes on and your abs on when you just stand tall. You just relax in the position, but try and keep the body as one piece. Most people are falling and trying to control the handstand. That's why they have to tense everything up a little bit more than they would do if they're standing. But it shouldn't be like overly flexing, overly pointing. I can do fingertip support consistently for 10 to 20 seconds and can do like 3 to 4 second holds, one arm sometimes. Yeah, so all I go is fingertip. So if you can do fingertips, you want to go to fingertip. I can just get that to be able to hold like 5 to 10 seconds with the finger on and then be able to go between this. So one finger, 5 to 10 second hold there. And then if that starts to feel easy, take the finger away and then try and get back to the finger and then back to fingers and back to the floor again. So fingertips needs to go to fingertip. So one finger or two fingers, but try and reduce the amount of weight in the fingers. Because one thing, one person can be on fingertips and they're crushing their fingers, and another person can be on fingertips and they're like this. So like fingernail, very, very lightweight. So wherever you're like this or like this, we want to have no weight in that hand or minimal weight and be able to go between that, and lift up and back down again is the goal. But that will take a lot of time. It's actually harder. Once you can hold a one-arm handstand, it's harder to do fingertip like lifts up and down, touching on and off the floor like that, than it is to lift the hand and keep it off all the time. So you just have to, go really slow, build on your foundation. And if it's a good hold, slowly take the fingertips away to fingertip. And then over time, you'll be able to get it. I don't look at my hand while doing one arm in the way. Feel better balance. Should I stick with it or switch it? That's something I changed. So I actually learned, I got a 10-second one-arm handstand and I was looking between my hands. And then I had to make the shift of looking to the work in hand. And it made a massive difference and improved my one-arm consistency a lot. So I'd highly recommend that you try and do that. Is try and look at the work in hand when you're holding the one arm. Is a good habit. And it also helps you if you're going to go on canes or something. So if I'm going to handstand up on these, I don't want to be looking down through the center, because now that center, the floor, is so much further away. But if I'm looking at the hand that's on here when I'm doing the one arm, it's consistent to what it is on the floor, on the blocks, or raised up on something. So it's always the same. So that makes a big difference. Which side should we keep the most balance on, the free arm side or the base arm side? So ideally, all the work is being done by the hand that's on the floor. That's your dominant side. The other hand, the rest of the body, as long as you're positioned the weight on top of the base, you should just be able to relax that hand totally. So it should have no energy in it whatsoever. Ideally, before you go to fingertips, ideally before you go to fingertip, and ideally before you lift it. Any other questions, guys? I'm not sure if this mic is working at all, but I'll keep it on just in case. Let's try and do a little bit more balance. So I'm really trying to get my one arm back properly. So I'll go show you my good side to my bad side with minimal warm up or no warm up. Basically, you've just seen what I've done warm up wise. So good side, not so good side, shall I say? And then, oh dear, bad side. You see here is going to be a struggle to get a fingertip hold. Yeah. So you can see the difference between bad side and good side. Oh, great, the mic is working. Yeah, I'm just not sure if this one is working. But if the volume's the same when I'm doing a handstand than it is when I'm over here, then it must be. They've changed. So it's been a while since I've done live, and they've changed the interface when you turn it on in terms of the mic and stuff. Okay, any other questions, guys? Anything different? What should we do next? Let's see if I can hit all three of the main press variations. So straddle press. I'm going to position the hip crease on top of the heel of the palm. At that point, I should be able to lift the toes. Then I'm going to pass through the straddle. So there, toes lift, pass through the straddle, all the way up. Whoop, to handstand. Come back down. Tuck press, exactly the same start position, but I bend the knees to go up. So same start position, but now bend the knees, pass through tuck, up to straight, back down, tuck, round the back, extend the legs, tiptoes. Okay, a little breather, and then I'll do pike. What's happening to my watch? Okay, pike press, exactly the same. Let's see if we can make it cleaner, have legs together. So with my hips, I need to planche a little bit more. I'm not going to be able to talk so much with the pike press. But same thing, hip crease needs to go on top of heel of the palms. And then press up from there. And back down. Yeah, that's way harder. So pike press, tuck press. There is shoulder press as well, but I will need to warm up to get that. Do you take help from elbow to correct balance and how to do it? Yeah, a little bit, but it's more going to come from trying to save your position when you're in the one arm, and that's just time in position. So if you're getting fingertip holds on one finger, so get up to one finger and get time there, and you're going to be making some little corrections to stand there. That's the way you're going to learn. You can't intentionally practice using the elbow apart from trying to save, constantly trying to survive the handstand. Then your body will slowly learn how to do it. I don't believe you can force your body to learn those techniques. I think it will come with time in the position. What's the most effective workout to get my shoulders stronger to do presses and handstands? So handstand balance, practice that every day, or at least every other day, so you can just have more time on your hands. That's the number one thing. Most people just don't practice consistently enough, so they don't condition the shoulders and just condition the body to being upside down, and then don't improve their balance. So every day being in that position, and I do two things. You want to be having time in the position, so get to the point where you can hold a chest full handstand. So you might, like a beginner would start off in this position with feet up on the wall, just holding there for time. So from the side, it just looks like that. And you're just spending time in that position. So not collapse down, pushing away. Once that's easy, we do exactly the same thing, but just straightening the legs, making sure your body's hollow and not arched towards the wall. You're in a hollow position away from it. Get that up to 60 seconds comfortably. And then the other factor with the handstand balance is learning the heel pulls and toe pulls. So the underbalance and the overbalance, so you can control. So that's back to wall. Using the fingertips. I put a video up yesterday And I've got lots of videos on handstand balance. So just kicking up, heels against the wall, pull from the wall, and back again. So I'm using the base to pull from the wall, using the fingers and the shoulders to create that movement. Doing the same this way around for the under balance, using the shoulders to pull from the wall to handstand and back again. Get very, very good at those two things. You'll get a freestyle handstand, you'll get a conditioned handstand so you can hold there for time, and then press is all around eccentrics, so slowly moving down through the position. Ideally freestanding, but most people, when they first do it, they're going to be against the wall, making sure, so turn the hands out, get the shoulders to go on and off the wall in that position, then shoulders to the wall, and be able to come down slowly through that movement. So obviously I don't know exactly where you are at in terms of your press handstand and your balance, but that's what I would be doing. And you want to be working mobility as much as balance. So every day visiting your main positions for your handstand, and then your balance work is going to improve, your mobility is going to get better, and then do the press work and the strengthening exercises. Ideally some bent arm work, some pike push-ups, that type of thing. Press handstand, add some planche type stuff in there as well, skin the cat, that type of thing. Again, I've got so much content for free on YouTube. I've got my programs and stuff in my app that goes into way more detail. Hey Chris, how you doing? What about finger placement? Okay, so hands shoulder width apart for most people, or a little bit wider and slightly turned out. So if you put your index fingers facing forwards, you'll be in roughly in a good place, and I would just take the hands a little bit wider than shoulders. That's for most people. Now, if you're doing presses and handstand push-ups, you tend to take the hands a little bit wider. If you're doing balance work, you tend to come in a little bit closer. But the beginner is just going to have their hands a little bit wider all the time. Tips for 90-degree handstand push-up. Get a strong handstand push-up, so straight away. And then deficit handstand push-up, so coming down to collarbone or to touch the box. So you're in like a deficit handstand push-up position, like a shoulder stand. And then shoulder stand to bent arm planche. Get comfortable in the bent arm planche. So you have bent arm planche, you have shoulder stand. So which are this type of position. I trained handstand push-ups yesterday, so I'm not super strong in them today. But bent arm planche, this type of position, shoulder stand here. So become an expert at those two positions. And then you can handstand down to your shoulder stand, go to your bent arm planche. So you basically then got an eccentric 90-degree handstand push-up, and then you can just practice coming out of it. But also have things like crow to handstand very, very comfortably. So crow to handstand is one of those exercises that is seen as being very easy, you know, once you're working towards the harder skills like 90-degree handstand push-ups. But the cool thing with a crow to handstand is you have a lower hip position compared to your standard handstand push-up. So it allows you to start doing that transition of being more parallel to the floor up to handstand. Then you can just extend the legs and use the arms less. So like a standard frog or crow to handstand would have a low hip position like this. And notice my shoulders are here. So my hips and shoulders are more in a line, parallel, but my handstand push-up would be like this. So I'm already more like a 90-degree handstand push-up there. And then I go to handstand from there. And then if I do exactly the same thing, but don't have my knees on my arms, so there. So that's like a 90-degree handstand push-up, but it's a tucked version. So it's much easier from a strength point of view, but the technique is the same. So if you can get that movement up, the body moving as one piece, all you do is start to extend the body out, and then you can do the same thing and push up the handstand. So highly recommend you become an expert of what I just done there, that crow to handstand, if your goal is a 90-degree. But the amount of people that can do handstand push-ups, maybe like one rep that's inconsistent, but can't do 90-degree, crow to handstand, is quite common. So that's what I would normally do, is fill that gap. My screen is dirty. Still not great. Okay. What do you think my workout should look like for one arm? I just accumulate time in a one-arm handstand position. That's the simplest way of doing it. So if you think go fingertips and you want to get 100 seconds in a fingertip one-arm handstand, once that's easy, go to 150 seconds. Once that's easy, go to 2 fingers, do the same thing. Or test it, see if you can get 2 fingers or 1 finger now. How much time per session can you accumulate? So say you're doing 10-second holds. To get 100 seconds, you'd need 10 sets. So 10 sets of 10 seconds. So 100 seconds doesn't, it's not a long amount of time, but 10 sets sounds like a lot, but it's quite easy to do that. So hit 100 seconds. And then you can make it be strict and go, okay, I'm only going to count those seconds if I return back to a 2-arm handstand. So you might go to a 1-arm handstand, hold fingertips for 10 seconds, and then go back to your 2-arm handstand. That then counts, and that goes towards the 100 seconds. So be strict with yourself in that respect. Most people just won't put that amount of time in, even though it's not that much time, but it's they just won't be consistent enough. So you're already head of the game if you can do that. Greetings from Brazil. It's 1:50 a.m. local time. Class is going great, but I need to go to sleep. Good luck. Yeah, just stick any questions down in the comments or on any other comments on my videos, and I can always answer them. You don't have to be on live. Thank you for my videos, for your videos. It has helped me on my journey. Fantastic. Just let me know if you have any specific questions or you want any demos while I'm on live. And this was an unplanned one. I will do some Q&As again soon. Okay, what else should we do? Let's see if we can do a hybrid. So these sort of things are cool if you're haven't got a specific thing to train on a day. So I'll do a press handstand, handstand push up, 1-arm handstand. That's the goal. So straddle press, handstand push up. So we can get straight, 1 arm on the right side, straddle 1 arm on the left side. Ooh, no, didn't count. So I fell out of it. So those sort of things are fun challenges once you have some skills, whatever they are. You don't have to have 1-arm handstand and things like that. You could just do, okay, I'm going to kick to handstand. I'm going to open to straddle. I'm going to do a partial range handstand push up. I'm going to come back down. So do some little combos that are challenging. I just did my first 7 seconds with 1 finger. Yeah, perfect. So if I said to you then get 50 seconds, accumulate 50 seconds on 1 finger in the least amount of sets you can, plus 100 seconds on fingers per session, that would be like a good session. That would probably take you half an hour to an hour to get that done. And it sort of gamifies it. You're trying to get to a target and tick off, a set of challenges. How much harder is a full candlestick compared to straddle 1 arm? Much, much harder. It's way heavier. A lot of people that do fingertips think that a straight candlestick handstand is just as easy or easier. But as soon as you start to lift the hand, you'll soon realize that it's much, much heavier and there's less room for error. So you don't have as much catch. And then lifting the hand up, so like a full position with the hand by your side, would be the hardest position. You could argue like a figure or something is harder, but that's mobility. There's most people that stop people getting the figure. Like I've never been able to do a figure. I just don't have the mobility and never put the time in to get it. But to get an arm by the side full position is really, really hard. I'll probably get a straddle after a couple of attempts. I'll get a straddle 10 seconds, no problem, on my right. But let me just show you how hard a arm by the side is. So just trying to lift that arm up. Yeah. So it'd probably take me 20 minutes to get a 10-second arm by the side position. So it's so hard, very specific. I'm a little bit better if I do it on canes or on a block. I'll probably get it in like 5 to 10 attempts, but still just don't train it enough. It's super hard. Do you keep your shoulder internally rotated or externally rotated on the... it's like you want to close. So here, it's like you do, if you push your arm up and push it in, so it's like this. So you close this gap between your pec there and your chin and just have that connected. So it's not open and falling apart. It wants to feel like it's connected and push. I wouldn't try and think about it as internal or external rotation too much. I would just think about having a good connection there between the all the pushing muscles there. So this is all closed and connected. I wouldn't think of internally or externally rotating. I just think of push tall. And again, just do the time. So time on the fingertips, times it, time in position, and it will get easier and easier. What do you think? Will there ever be a full one-arm handstand push-up? I'm not sure. People do it like on fingertips and stuff, but I'm not sure whether it's even worth putting the work in on something like that. It depends what people's goals are. That's more of a trick than like a skill, calisthenics skill, like a circus type trick. It's very, very specific. Okay, let's see if I can get that combo a little bit better. So the press, the handstand push up, the one arm on each side. So press, handstand push up. One arm. Ooh. Yeah, a little bit better. The left side is not good. Any other questions? Fire them in. Okay, let's do a little bit of planche. So I'm just trying to do stuff that will get back things that I was doing better at one point. So I've dropped off my planche training. I've dropped off my one arms. I've maintained press and handstand push up because I train them all the time, but I've definitely dropped off on the planche and the one arm handstand consistency. So that's what I'm trying to get back at the moment, and mobility. So I've really noticed now if I take a bit of time off the mobility side, I just get so tight so fast. Let's just go froggy planche. Yeah, that's feeling horrible. I think what I'll do is I'll stick with the press, handstand push up and balance for today's live, and then do a proper planche session by itself. Lots of little reps of tuck and advanced tuck. Get that back. So any other training questions? Balance, handstand push-up, press. P-bars or ground, which is easier for one arm? Ground and blocks would be my preference. P-bars I've never really trained. I can do, like, I've got 10 seconds on a single P-bar, but that was only just playing till I got the 10 seconds, as opposed to training it. I've never really trained P-bar one arm, but handstand blocks and handstand canes are much easier. So, like, I'm guaranteed I'll get a good one arm handstands on my good arm if I use canes or if I use blocks. And on the floor, it's still pretty consistent, but nowhere near as easy as the canes and the blocks. So they would be much easier. Has anyone ever done soupy? What's that mean? Is that a typo? One arm on straight bar. Supinated. Oh, yeah, no, probably people have probably done that. Yeah. The rotation would be the hard thing, but yeah, a lot of people get really strong on bars. It's one of those things that if you get comfortable with it, you can pull yourself around on it. You'll see guys, especially like circus, what they can do on single bars is crazy. But again, it's very specific. So you learn how to do that certain technique, and then become an expert at that one thing. Okay, let's try and get that combo again. So press, handstand push up. Let's go.
Resuming your workout.
Turn Siri on. Yeah, that one arm's terrible. Should have stayed with standard straight away. Take my watch off. Keep setting Siri off. Okay, John's got last question. When doing your handstand, where should I position my eyes? Am I looking at the ground? Yeah, 100%. Two arm handstands, constantly look at the ground. Ideally pick a point and keep focusing on that all the time. So if I'm going to do a two arm handstand, I'm going to look down. I'm going to put my fingers, index fingers on this line. And then I'm going to look either on the line as well or slightly in front on my kick up. So I'm looking at that position. When I hold, I'm looking at that position. And then when I come down, I'm looking at that position. So my shoulder position, my hand position, my focal point stays very much the same throughout the movement. It's even worth putting something down on the floor to look at, to make sure you focus on that, because the temptation is when you're trying to rebalance or trying to do something, you'll change your head position dramatically and it will knock you out of position. But that will fix a lot of people's handstands straight away and really get the base doing the work, which is super important. I can do 5 handstand push-ups consistently. Nice. My max is 8. How can I increase the reps and better control? I don't know if you was here earlier when I was demonstrating the Croda handstand variations. Make sure you're really good at Croda handstands. Bent arm press to handstand without the knees on the elbows. So like this type of stuff, get really good. Croda handstand should be a piece of cake if you've got that amount of repetitions, but doing exactly the same thing without your knees on your arms, become really good at that. And then deficit. So raising the hands up on the box, coming down to collarbone to touch that box, be able to do repetitions of that. So like, see if you can get doubles there. If you can do 5, your max is 8 reps, you should be able to get doubles on a box, collarbone to touch the box. And then I start working 90-degree handstand push-up eccentrics. So your catch rate is really good, and then constantly work your handstand balance. A lot of people are restricted by their balance not by their strength. So having really good balance in your handstand and the handstand push-up skill itself, be able to pause at any point, be able to hold that bottom position and hold a conversation, will make your handstand push-ups super strong. I was trying to look at my working hand, but I felt instantly I think it would take time. Yeah, move slowly. So if you've been used to looking between your hands, and then you're now changing to looking at your hand, go a little bit closer towards the hand, and then give it time. It all depends where your head and shoulder position is when you're doing the one arm as well. If your head's not glued to your arm, like looking down your arm like this, if it's here a little bit more, it's going to be much harder to look like diagonally across at the hand. But if you are there, it's going to be easier to look down to the hand, but you might find that it pushes you out to the outside because you're just not used to doing it. Can you do jump-in handstand push-ups? It needs explosive strength. I've never really trained jump-in handstand push-ups or jumps in handstands. I've had one guy in particular in Perth who does a lot of breakdancing. Was trying to get me to do jumps on my hands and stuff, and I got a couple, but didn't enjoy that style of training. I'm a lot more static type positions, so never really trained jumping handstand push-ups. I'd prefer to do deficit and 90-degree progressions. It's a bit like the weighted handstand push-ups as well. There was like a few guys doing them on Instagram weighted, and I wanted to see how heavy I could go. I got up to like 20 kilos on a weighted vest for floor handstand push-ups, and then had to go on a box with a weight vest on and hurt my shoulder. So that sort of proved that I shouldn't mess with that type of stuff. I'll leave that to the younger guys, and don't increase weight at all now on my handstand push-ups. I prefer working 90-degree variations and deficit. Are your fingers flat on the ground? Ish. It depends what I'm doing. Majority of the time, my hands will be very flat on the ground, especially compared to like if you look at gymnasts, they'll dome their fingers up or tent their fingers up like that. Mine are very, very flat when I handstand majority of the time. I say majority of the time. When I'm doing some press work and some planche stuff, I'll lift up the heel of the palm while I'm handstanding and turn it inwards a little bit like this. But it all depends on where people's flexibility is and where they're balancing and what surface they're on. A lot of people that tent the fingers up will do that because they're used to using softer floor. I normally train on a harder floor. You'll see gymnasts who use a very soft floor will all tent their fingers up. I'm not a big fan of changing how you do it. I just think you should just push into the floor as hard as you can. And over time, you'll build up a position that you find most comfortable hand-wise. There's some handstand one-arm circus artists that dish up their hand like completely like this and only have their little finger and their thumb on the floor and cup their hand like that. I think there's a circus school that teaches that as well. But I wouldn't do anything like that. I'll just get the most comfortable position for you. And again, the same with the like internal, external rotation and the width. And over time, you'll just find out what your body likes. Okay, any other questions? No problem. Let's do another combo. I'm sort of using this as my mess about training session today. Let's press off the floor from a kneeling position, maybe like a planche press, to a one-arm handstand, and then I'll make something up as I go. So a big fan of the kneeling entries. If you're not doing these, I recommend you are, even if you're still learning to handstand. So you put the thumbs by the knees, and then you can like jump up and stuff to handstand. That's a really good way of learning to go up to your handstand and not go over or backwards. So the energy's up, which is really good for holding handstands, catching consistently. Too many people run forwards when they do a handstand. And then if you're stronger, you can then do a press from this position, whether it's bent arm, planche press, or just straddle out. So I'm going to see if I can do a tuck press from here up to one arm. So the issue there was my hands were too wide to go into one arm, so I had to move the hand across. I better do something on this side. Let's just do fingertips. And then what should I do? Handstand push up. Got my hat on, which doesn't help. No. That's a good example of having balance at the bottom. So my cap messed me up. And then let's just do a slow eccentric back down. Yeah, so the cap messed my handstand push up up. But because my balance is so good at the bottom of the handstand push up, I could sort out the position and catch. It was ugly, but made it back up to handstand again. Any other questions? I'll take a breather, have a drink. Put Rosie on. She's asleep, I think. Okay, any other questions? I don't think I've missed anything. Okay, now I wasn't going to train it, but let's do a few reps of stool to press. I'm just going to do it on the P bars, so my feet don't drag on the floor. Like I say, I'm trying to get my flexibility back to a better level. I want to be able to do splits cold, straddle pancake, flat, cold. But as you see, I'm way off that at the moment. Like splits cold is there at the moment. Hip flex is really pushing me out. I think my hamstring's good enough for it, but my hip flexor on both sides stops me too much. Middles is way off cold. I'm sore from yesterday. I pushed that a little bit harder yesterday. And then pancake, ideally flat, cold. It takes me a minute or two to get that. I just want to get that back. And then once I've got it back, just visit the position on a daily basis. So I'm a big fan of doing with all the positions. Okay, let's see if I can get a stool to. It's going to be muscled, but let's see. So straddle L. Yeah, need to stay in straddle because the ceiling. Back down. But I recommend anyone watching this live or on the recording, just test, like I just done, your cold positions. Like, don't think you're forcing your body into the positions. You just want to see where everything's at mobility-wise. So with the knees locked backwards, how deep can you get? So I believe even for function, ideally every adult should be able to put palms flat on the floor in a forward fold. And then if you want to go beyond that, obviously you can train beyond it if whatever you're doing needs that. The splits, that front split position, how far can you get the heel away from the back toe? So I don't have no rules apart from that. So you're trying to get into that deeper position there. So mine's not great. So that's what I want to improve on. And then do the same for your seated straddle pancake. Go into that position. See how deep you can get that. And then what your middle splits is like. And I just do that on a daily basis, just visit that position, and then obviously increase flexibility towards that, sit in the positions, hang out there more often, and then try and improve that. That's going to be my goal over the next 6 months or so, get that to the point where all of those are just open, ready to use. Can I bend arm press with straight knee instead of bend knee to better my handstand push-up game? Oh, can I bend arm press with straight knee instead of bent knee to better my handstand push-up game? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I do both. So basically you want to fill as many gaps as possible. So if you do some slow eccentric handstand push-ups, that should identify if you have any balance limitation in your handstand push-up. So like this, I could do this super cold, sore, whatever it is. I know I can always hold a handstand, and I know I can hold at any point through the eccentric of a handstand push-up, even down here where my head is very, very close to the floor. Like I know I can do that, and that's a good way of assessing what's your standard handstand push-up like, and where do you have any gaps. If you can do that comfortably, then that answers a lot of questions straight away. And then I'd do the same for crow to handstand. Do a standard crow with bent arms, bent legs, then play with what happens if I do a bent arm press. Can I control that both from a strength point of view and a balance point of view? So like look for gaps, fill, and then just start to fill those gaps. If you've got a gap in your eccentric handstand push-up balance, I would prioritize that if your goals are handstand push-ups. So eccentrics are really, really good for identifying gaps. And if you can do slow controlled eccentrics like I just done, then you know that you need to work on the concentric part, doing partial ranges, up only. So crow to handstand, headstand to handstand, shoulder stand to handstand, bent arm press. So just working on the up movement. And then that should really help. You should be able to find your gaps then. And it could be that you're basically at your limit now from a strength, balance, and skill point of view, and you just need to do more reps, and it's just time. Okay, any other questions? Might do another Stalder. Let's make it a bit more challenging. So exactly the same as what I just done, but instead of using the high P-bars, let's use the lower ones. So this is good to demand higher foot position and then higher feet for the transition as well. So my thing is that I always skim the feet when I'm doing it on the floor. And when I'm using a high like this, my heels or my toes are really close to the floor. I can normally get away with it but it does mean I have to really focus on lifting up the feet and keeping the hip flexors active. So I made it, and then now it's working to make sure I don't touch on the way back down. It wasn't too bad. And notice I didn't talk on both of them though. To go from frog to handstand, where do you think most of the strength is? In the back or in the core? It depends on you as an individual. If you've got enough strength in your arms and your balance is good, it's definitely not core. It depends what you think of when you say the word core as well. It's not abdominal strength or bringing the legs towards the torso, which a lot of people think is, like a sit-up. That would be a traditional idea when you think of core strength. So if you do a slow eccentric handstand to frog or crow, that will help you identify where you're lacking. You'll probably find that it's upper back shoulders that's stopping you coming down with control. And like a good test for that is to do wall leans. Make sure that this is nice and strong for you, so you can pull on and off the wall there. And then make sure that you can eccentrically come down the wall this way. Next time I rotate the hands, bend the elbows as you come down. See if you can find that. And then you can try and go back up to the wall. And then you can try and go up this way, find the wall. And then the same on the way down. See if you can come down slowly to the position. If they feel okay, then doing it freestanding. I wouldn't worry too much about identifying what is lacking in terms of muscles or body parts or arms or whatever you're thinking about. I would think more about what drill of the progressions towards crow to handstand do I need to work on. And I would just start with the easiest ones or the hardest one, and then see if you can do it. And if you can't do it, move to the next easiest one, and so on. I've got lots of videos on frog to handstand or crow to handstand. So that should help fill your gaps. Okay, it's 52 minutes we've been on now. So I'm going to make it an hour. So I'll stay on for 7.5 more minutes. I'm thinking about, should I do another rep or something? I can't go down slowly. Okay, so if you can't go down slowly, then we just need to make sure that you can do things like pike push-ups. So pike push-ups should be quite comfortable if you want to do crow to handstand comfortably. And that's an easy one that you can do repetitions on. Dips, make sure you can do bodyweight dips on bars. So bars like those yellow and black ones that Rosie's laying next to. Get comfortable with dips on those pike push-ups. And then also make sure that your frog and crow is strong enough and you can move it around. So you have the ability to go single leg crow would be good, but also just being able to get your froggy position from a squat, take the head down towards the floor and back again. You see, once you get good at that type of thing, so be able to go between them, you can then do the seesaw and do a little lift of the legs. So I can come down there and lift the legs up. So you're starting to use a little bit of momentum as well. You can do single leg. So that's a really good way of filling gaps. Okay, any other questions? Looks like there's only 2 of you online now at the end. You've got the monopoly. The stage is yours. What else can we look at? I want to get my front lever better as well. I've got to hang out a little bit better on my front arm. I'm not going to. Let's see what I can do on the front lever on the bar. Low to the floor. Let's use the yellow one. So I'm a big fan of using these for front lever because, especially if you're a bit more advanced than tuck, because it forces you to lift up from the floor, but you're not using lots of energy pulling to a high bar, and then you can try and get your body more parallel to the floor. So, cramping my calves. That was a bad example. The calf is cramped like anything. So as you can see, I'm totally out of condition in some of these movements. Right, let's finish with something a bit more flash. Let's do the press handstand push up, one arm handstand combo again, my favorite. So if I can finish with a better one, and then if anyone's got any questions to finish. Oh, that calf is still cramping. Look. Okay, what was I going to do? Press, handstand push up, one arm handstand, planche. Let's finish with planche at the back of that. So, okay, don't score this. It's going to be ugly. So we'll go press, handstand push up, one arm handstand, one arm handstand left. Ooh, that's horrible. Oh, geez. Right, ignore that bit. It's the trouble with a live. I can't cut those ones out and finish with a planche. That's not very nice. Luckily, there's only 2 of you want to see that mess. Out of condition on certain movements, but fun to play with them. Like I'd say, today was more of a play session to do an unplanned live, answer any questions. Okay, we're at 57 minutes. We have 3 minutes for anyone to ask a question. Anything you're stuck with, you need me to demo or try and demo something. I think I've answered all the questions. Let me know if you have any requests as well for videos, any tutorials you want me to make, follow along videos. I've got a few more that I'm adding now regularly to my app, the classes. So a little bit more of a follow along idea, and the YouTube members also get access to some of those. I put them on YouTube, the longer videos as follow alongs. So just reach out if you do have any questions on or requests for those. We're down to 1.5 minutes. Any other questions? Anyone training today? Got plans for the training? Let's go hollow. Let's go crow, handstand, hollow. Like doing this, pulling the legs over, and then keep going over in that way. And then back. There's a nice one to get the legs and feel the legs pulling you over up to handstand. You can do that one back to wall, find the wall. Okay, we're down to 30 seconds. So let me know if you have any request videos. Like I said, requests for classes, live classes. And I have been thinking and getting my head around how to do the workshop that I taught in the UK, like my standard 3-hour workshop that I do. I was thinking of maybe doing that online somehow. You know, they used to do the webinar type things, something like that. I just got to work out the best way of doing it. So everyone gets the most out of it. So if you have any ideas on that, let me know, reach out. If I don't answer questions or comments, I just might not see them. Try again in a different way. Reach out, DM me on Instagram, on YouTube, in the comments, send me an email, reach out via the website, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.